Welcome to a new daily top AskReddit video. Today's topic.
Well off, people of Reddit, what is the poorest thing you still regularly do? Research every purchase for hours and hours to find the best deal before pulling the trigger. Yes, I'll save stuff in my Amazon cart too for a couple weeks to see if I change my mind. Usually I do. This helps me spend much less. Go on hunt, find items, add to cart, add to save for later. Repeat. Eat leftover sandwiches from corporate lunch meetings, even if I'm not in the meeting. I'm not poor, but a free meal is a free meal. Free is my favorite flavor. I must extract every last bit of toothpaste from the tube. Shampoo. Add more water, shake, and get another few days out of it. Well off. Well, that's relative. My wife cuts open all of these to get the last morsel. So do I. There's legit like 3 more days worth of toothpaste in there. I can tell within $2 what my grocery cart total is going to be, including tax. As a kid I used to go shopping with my mother. I was always so embarrassed when we had to put stuff back because we didn't have the money. When I was about 8 I got in the habit of keeping track of how much we had spent. I would tell Mom what we had to put back. She was so grateful she used to save a bit to get me a treat. Now I can buy anything I want, but I still budget myself and never go over it. My wife thinks I'm nuts, but I'll ask her, those artichokes are out of season, they must be expensive. I get a lethal eye roll. Oh man, I am the same way nowadays. I was always the best at mental math in my family, and I think it was partially because I was the walking grocery cart calculator. I would calculate tax too based on items that were taxed and items that weren't. Mom would always periodically ask me what the total was so she knew how much was left in the budget. The cashiers were always so impressed at my totals, and Mom usually bought me a tin of mints for my efforts. My soul sister. This skill has served me well in the business world. I am dressed about 50% of the time in clothes that make me look like I live in my car, or maybe the woods. I am retired. I have what I call house clothes, which are 20 years old, from Marshalls, that were $9.99 when new. They are clean and laundered. I wear them to garden, drink my coffee, walk my dog, etc. My house clothes are faded, some stained. I don't care. I walk around my neighborhood to get steps in. My neighbors know me. But I get lots of either pitiful or concerned stares from strangers. I bragged not long ago to my daughter that the t-shirt I was wearing was at least 7 years older than she is, 12. Her answer was, yeah, but it has 3 holes in it. About a week later, I went out to do some groceries with my son and he was telling me, Dad, there's like 5 persons that look weirdly at your shirt, same shirt. By now, I usually wear it at night, when doing home repairs, but it somehow escaped me that day. The shirt is just old and worn out but so comfortable, plus, I feel like I bought it a few years back. All my shirts have 4 holes in them. Wait for sales. Use coupons. You don't get rich by wasting money. Asterisk. The wealthiest person I know, a person who has something similar to a petting zoo of real animals in one of his backyards, told me this when I was 17 and I've been trying to keep that in mind my entire life. Lol, I thought that said, use condoms. Rolling on the floor laughing. Still works. Condoms will save you the most money in the long run. I still have a drawer dedicated to fast food sauces. I call that drawer my end-of-the-world barter bin. Someday those sauces may be worth more than gold. This plus a drawer of old electronics and broken wires, cables for the irrational, end-of-the-world barter collection. Wear the same clothes for a decade plus if they're still good. A little faded or threadbare won't stop me. I'm also known for accepting hand-me-downs, so I get gifted a lot of clothes. I may not always look as presentable as I could be because my clothes are not new, but I'm able to dress fashionably while spending very little money. I recently replaced all of my socks, underwear, t-shirts. I should have done it years ago, but it just never occurred to me that it was an option. One day I had a revelation that I am an adult with my own money and I don't have to deal with boxes with holes in them if I don't want to. I grew up somewhat poor, so I think certain things were ingrained in me, even if I am somewhat frivolous otherwise. I know exactly what you mean. Those moments of, wait, I'm an adult, I have money now, I can get rid of X and get a new one, or 2. Or 10, quote. Take the sliver of soap and press it into the new bar. It's called soap welding. Divide paper towels to use what's actually needed. Shit, I let clean ones dry after wiping up water or drying my hands, then use them for dirtier jobs later. My kids use half a roll to dry their hands, so my frugality gets cancelled out. Bro, sis, get some dish towels and have your kids use those to dry their hands. My Bounty paper towels already have little lines so they can be quartered easily. Sometimes I only need an eighth, but I'll waste a whole quarter because I'm worth it. Hang on to crap I don't need in case it might be useful someday, and I'd have to buy it again and couldn't afford to. I do a purge every few months, a stack of unburned CDs from around 2000, really. But the pack rat instinct runs deep. Both sides of my grandparents grew up in the Depression. If there was a 1% chance something could be reused, it wasn't tossed. Cleaning out their affairs was interesting. Edit, English. John McCutcheon, singer, said when his Depression-era mother passed away, he found a box full of snippets of string labeled, "Pieces of string too short to save." Drive a 2005 Camry. Underrated way to build some wealth. Buy a cheap, reliable used car and drive it until the wheels come off. You're right, considering how much some people spend on the cars, refraining from that absolutely builds wealth. Rice and beans with hot sauce. I'm sorry, although correct and fitting the question precisely, that's just good taste, sir. It's completely accidental that this happens to be cheap. Thrifting. I'll never give up looking for my vintage dresses. My wife calls her thrifting, treasure hunting. My guilty pleasure is getting Moroccan ramen every so often, but I make it more like spaghetti, draining all the water, mixing in some olive oil with the noodles and then adding the beef and pork powder directly to the noodles. It's so good that way. You're never too wealthy to have high blood pressure. If you're broke, top ramen. If you're slightly less broke, Moroccan. If you are feeling decadent, Ikaban Sapporo. Look at my bank account for a $2 purchase. My God, this hit home. Every single time, and I quite like that. It's good to remember the hard times and make sure to never lose that feeling. Also makes you appreciate when other people are going through the same and empathize. Being poor was one of the hardest times of my life and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. Not even my worst enemy. Water at restaurants and no appetizers or extra toppings. Water for my calorie budget more than anything. I can think of much more fun ways to get fat than soda. It depends on what you mean by well off, but I use the McDonald's coupon app every time I go. It's throwing away money if you don't. Every day it's $2 for off something. I was going to install it, but it wanted total permission for everything on my phone, and Ronald ain't got no need for my contacts and pictures. Craft dinner. Do you just eat more? Probably buys really expensive ketchups for it. With fancy Dijon ketchup, though, I'd buy you an exotic pet. Do you have $1 million? Make coffee at home. Still not a millionaire, by the way. It's because you're still getting that damned avocado toast. Drive a 20-year-old car. Avoiding high vehicle costs and instead investing is what made me well off. Ramen. All the ramen. I make well over 100K per year and I eat ramen at least 2 to 3x a week. Ramen with kimchi is a lunch staple at my house. Yeah, chop some green onions and put some hot sauce in there with an egg and some kimchi. Bomb. I always get the good ramen, because it's still not all that expensive, $1 to 2 serving. I get the Nomsham products like K-Army or Shin Black. Nomsham with an egg is life. Costco hot dog. This thread said Poorest. Nothing more expensive than the Costco $1.50 hot dog. Can't get one for less than $324.67. Occasionally I stand by the fridge munching on Kraft singles. Pickles straight from the jar. Combine the two. You're welcome. 64 slices of American cheese. American cheese product. Garage sales, I can't resist them. I have this thing where I get all excited, I stop, I browse a bit then leave because it's all junk. Drives a 5-year-old Toyota. Wash and reuse plastic Ziploc bags. What's the cost of the water and soap compared to the cost of the bag? A lot less, considering that water and soap is like 5 cents to clean a Ziploc bag, but you consume less plastic. You're reducing buying more bags and reusing the bags and not recycling them, as that should be the last on the list. Plus it costs more to the environment to throw away bags. Hoard food. If I can't eat it or near expiry, I shove it in the freezer where it'll stay there forever. I know I won't eat it, but consciously I don't want to just throw it away. Starting a little garden and using a compost bin helped me with that. I am not wasting food anymore, I am turning food into food for my food. Lol, same, I think it's a trauma thing for me. Like, I went hungry a lot when I was a kid, I never knew when the next meal was coming. Now that I don't have to worry about that financially, I always have a full cupboard, full fridge, snack drawer in every room, my kids have loaded lunches, snacks available in the car, etc. To me, that's a huge sign of wealth, having a ton of food just sitting there in your cupboards. I still cut my own hair. I started going to a barber in town many years ago and decided to go for a buzz cut. I liked it. A relative bought me a bunch of haircuts from him, which was nice. At one point, he used the 000 blade. He was going to give me the cut for free, but I was like, no. I like it, this is great. Quote, after the gift haircuts were done, I bought a good electric shaver and now shave my own head. I've saved so much. My husband started doing this during COVID. Hasn't stopped. Kills him to think about paying for a haircut. Same. I'm a woman in a high cost of living area, so a cut and color would run me a few hundred. My husband gets angry when I mess up the towels with my hair dye, but I have to remind him that doing my hair at home can save me almost $1,000 a year. In case this hasn't crossed your mind, you can totally just buy some big cheap towels specifically to use when coloring your hair and or for drying those first couple washes after a new dye job when enough is washing out to stain. Then you have a couple of stained towels that are meant to be stained, instead of accidentally ruining good towels.